Non-farm payrolls always has the capacity to surprise. January 2024's result was a prime example, with 353,000 new jobs reported in the month and an additional 126,000 positions added to the count for November and December. Previously, the three-month average was a moderate 160,000. Now it is closer to 290,000. The FOMC will take this as another reason to be confident in the economy and hold upside inflation risk as more pressing than downside risk to activity. Still, to assess the US economy's likely path through all of 2024, we must take the entire employment report into consideration and cross-check this information against other available sources. What we find when we do so is a much more uncertain present situation and outlook. At January 2024, the non-farm payrolls count suggests the number of jobs in the US grew at an impressive 2% over the prior 12 months. However, the same survey reports that average hours worked per worker fell 1.5% over the same period. Aggregate weekly hours for all workers were therefore just 0.3% higher in January 2024 than January 2023. Reduced labour utilisation is also evident in the household survey, with the population of workers with more than one job back at a record high, a level only seen once before, just before the pandemic. This statistic highlights clearly the difference between the employment situation surveys. The establishment survey's non-farm payroll count references the number of jobs. The household survey's employment measure, meanwhile, counts the number of people employed. In stark contrast to the rapid gain in non-farm payrolls, but aligned to the hours estimate, the household survey implies employment growth was much weaker through 2023. While both month average non-farm payrolls and household employment growth decelerated by around 100,000 units from 2022 to 2023, the count for household employment was 100,000 lower per month at a moderate 160,000. This month average result was principally due to household employment growth effectively stalling over the second half of 2023. It is also important to highlight that the US business surveys, including the ISM's and the NFIB Small Business Survey, are pointing to no or negative employment growth across the economy. This is consistent with the household survey employment measure and hours worked from the establishment survey, but in stark contrast to non-farm payroll strength. Business surveys are inherently volatile, but the multi-month trend is clear. Now, there is one final point to make about the establishment and household employment surveys. Over the past decade, the response rates have continued to trend down. The response rate for the household survey has fallen from 90% in October 2013 to 71% in October 2023. Payrolls Establishment Survey, meanwhile, had a response rate of only 62% at the beginning of the decade, which has since dwindled to just 42% at October 2023. The sample instability and low response rate of recipients for the Establishment Survey is concerning, particularly given the weight placed on non-farm payrolls by the FOMC and market participants. All the more so given that 45% of the Establishment Survey are small businesses with less than 20 workers. Small businesses challenged by conditions may be electing not to respond. The FOMC has made clear in their recent communications that non-farm payrolls remains their benchmark for employment. The January report is therefore unlikely to alter their perspective on the balance of risks. Still, taking all available information for the labour market into consideration and recognising that household spending growth has been outpacing income growth for some time, the picture of the US we are presented with for all of 2024 and beyond is not of enduring strength, but rather fragility and uncertainty. Rate cuts may not be needed now, but they will be through 2024. An extended delay raises the risk of an abrupt turn in policy. We'll see you next time.
The content of this recording is informational and of general nature only, and is not intended to constitute a research report or reflect any recommendation or financial advice. It has been prepared without taking into account your objectives, financial situation, or needs, and investment decisions should not be based on it. You should obtain your own independent advice before proceeding with any investment decision. Whilst every effort has been taken to ensure that the contents are correct and any opinions, forecasts, conclusions are reasonably held based on information at the date of recording, Westpac does not make any representation or warranty as to the accuracy or completeness of the statements or information contained in this recording, and any liability therefore is expressly disclaimed to the extent permitted by law. None of the material included in this recording should be copied, published, or reproduced in whole or in part without the prior written permission of Westpac.